Good morning, folks. I hope and pray that you're well today. It's Friday. It's the end of what we call the work week. And I am on my way to Georgia this morning for my reserve weekend. So covet your prayers for safe travels during this time. I want to read to you this morning first from the book of Psalms, chapter number 28. But then I'm going to reference something in the book of 1 Samuel. In Psalm chapter 28, verses 1 and 2, David says these words, "To you I will cry, O Lord my rock. Do not be silent to me. Lest if you are silent to me, I become like those who go down to the pit. Hear the voice of my supplications when I cry to you, when I lift up my hands toward your holy sanctuary." David is affirming right there that he will call upon God. And then he's also asking God not to ignore him, if you will. When we know God doesn't ignore us, and David affirms that. But he's affirming also that he will cry to the Lord, his rock, and his salvation. Now, do we often take that attitude right there in our prayer time? Well, I want to share with you from the book of 1 Samuel this morning as well. Give me a second to get over there. 1 Samuel. And it's an interesting story when 1 Samuel starts out. I'm not going to read it, but going to kind of give you the backdrop here. In 1 Samuel chapter 1 and chapter 2, we see that Hannah is praying for offspring. Now, I'll give you the context here. In that day and age, it was a thing of ill repute for a woman to be barren of children. And Hannah here, of course, knew that. And she prayed, she gave entreaties to God that God would provide her with offspring. Now, you probably know the story very, very well. She's in we'll call it, she's in the church, and she's weeping, and she's praying, and she's talking to God. She's not talking to him in an audible voice, however. She's talking to him, and her lips are moving, but she's not saying anything out loud. She's talking to God silently. And by the way, we can do that. We don't always have to be talking aloud when we're talking to God. We can talk to him in our hearts. We can talk to him through our thoughts and emotions. And if our lips move, then our lips move. People just have to think that we're crazy, which is exactly what happens when Eli the priest comes in. He sees Hannah, and she's just mouthing the words that she's speaking to God, and he thinks that she's intoxicated. But then she lets him know that she's praying to God, making intercession to God, pleading with God. And then what does Eli do? He lets her be. And then we know the end of the story. Hannah is the mother of Samuel, who later on goes and lives with Eli the priest and studies under him and is sort of the mentee, if you will, to Eli the priest. What am I saying right here? I'm saying that we can confidently affirm that God is going to answer our petitions. He might not answer them immediately, but he's going to answer them. And you know, day by day by day, I plead with the Lord as I'm driving or as I'm thinking about things, and just pleading with the Lord to just do a mighty work. And you know, it discourages us sometimes when we feel like God isn't paying any attention to us. But God asks us, requires of us, matter of fact, to trust him and to just keep moving in our prayer. Like the acronym PUSH, pray until something happens. We may get discouraged sometimes, but don't let that discouragement keep us from asking God to do a mighty work, and whatever work that might be. Me in particular, I just ask for a mighty work in the church, because we need that mighty work. So I just ask of you, in your personal prayer time, remember to just continue giving your petitions to God. Even when it seems like no one's listening, continue to do it. Why? Because you're faithful in your communication with God, and God's going to be faithful to that communication. I guarantee you that one. It might take some time to see it. We might go through some discouragement. We might go through some valleys as we make these petitions to God, but I guarantee you God's going to be on time, and He's going to provide whatever it is we're petitioning Him for. So I hope and pray this gives you some encouragement today. Hope y'all have a wonderful day in the Lord. I'm going to post the bulletin for Sunday a little bit later. I meant to do it first thing this morning, but I plumb forgot about it, to be honest with you. But I'll be doing that later once I get down to Georgia and get back on my computer. But love you folks, and church is still happening Sunday. I'm not going to be there. We will have the pulpit filled. There will be preaching. There will be singing. So don't let the pastor being gone keep you from going to church and worshiping on Sunday. But I'll talk to you a little bit later. God bless you folks. Love you.